Okay, I'm live. Can everybody see me, hear me? How's everyone doing? Uh, this is working. Press in the type something in the chat function. See how people are doing. This is I am backstage right now. Here we go. You can see me, hear me. Good stuff. See Farlan's there. Jacco. Hi, Elton. Thanks for confirming that you can hear me loud and clear. Good stuff. All right, so the tech seems to be working. This is a good start. All right. Well, let's kick off. Obviously, welcome everybody to the second SaaStock session. Sales in a time of crisis. Quite a dramatic title there, but hopefully not too much drama today for this event. We're going to make it fun. It's not just content. There is some great content, short, sharp, actionable content with 4 amazing speakers. There's also going to be some super cool networking as well via the lovely hop-in platform that we're using today. So after 40 minutes of great stories and tips from our speakers, we will be connecting everybody across the globe, people that are here, of course, with some networking, chat roulette style functionality, pairing you up with the attendees from this session. So it's going to be fun. So make sure you stick around for the networking. Those that don't know me, I'm Alex Tuma, founder CEO of SaaStock. Obviously, great to have you here. The aim here is to not do just another boring webinar. I'm not going to hate on webinars, but there's a lot of them happening at the moment, and they're perhaps not as interactive as we would like, at SaaStock, and certainly from the feedback that we've been getting as well. So that's why we're making this interactive session via hop-in, certainly in the run-up to our SaaStock remote event, which is happening on June the 10th and 11th online. In terms of interactivity, you'll see we have the chat function, which many of you are making good use of. I can see Johan has returned from last week. I see you, Johan and Russell, and I think that is Dallin, if that's a correct pronunciation. So everyone's making good use of the chat. Did you know, it may not be obvious, but there are some tips in the reception, which is the little house on the left-hand side of the menu. They'll give you some tips there. But if you click on the person's avatar in the chat function, you can start a direct message conversation with that person. So a little tip for you there if you want to have some DMs. Again, if you don't feel like direct messaging anybody, that's fine. We will also be connecting you with your peers after the content, as I said. Look in the middle, we've got the polls. We've started with the poll. Perhaps we might add some throughout. First poll, the question is, has your company stopped outbound sales temporarily? So welcome your votes on that. If you can go to the poll section. If you go to the people section, you can scroll through the attendees that are currently here. So I think we've just had under 300 registered attendees for this event. So we expect, as the event goes on, more and more new faces to join us. The hashtag, if you can multitask, and this will be a good one, if you can multitask, you can tweet or do some social media using the hashtag SaaStock Sessions, hashtag SaaStock Sessions. Yeah, that'll be great. If you've got any tips from our speakers that you want to share publicly, that'll be fantastic. Just sort of mentioning, obviously, with the networking, we did this for the last week as well. That I'll be sticking around for the networking, and anybody that gets paired with me randomly will win a free ticket to SaaStock Remote. So that'll be worth sticking around for. Certainly, if you're looking to go to SaaStock Remote, which is happening on June the 10th and 11th. I guess a quick question, not a poll, but who has heard of SaaStock Remote? or who is already attending, feel free to drop that in the chat if you've heard about it. If you're already attending, if you're thinking of going, let us know in the chat section. And I think in the main reception area as well, you might see a SaaStock booth there, or a SaaStock remote booth. And we have one of our team that's there to kind of answer any questions that you may have around SaaStock remote. So feel free to check out the reception area. Yeah, I think just kind of cracking on. I would say let's get on with our and welcome our first guest, who I've just found out two very interesting facts about. Our first guest, I believe, is Steve Broudy, who is the VP and head of sales at Bevy. Steve also used to work at and run, I believe, the inside sales team at MuleSoft that got acquired by Salesforce. He has spoken at SaaStock 17, I believe, on the main stage there. Apart from being a former Navy SEAL, Steve has also been wearing a Hawaiian shirt for about 756 days, if I got that number correct. And he's also bought a lighthouse. So pretty interesting facts about our speaker there. I guess the fact that I've not mentioned is that he's a fantastic salesperson and manager, and he's going to give you some strong tips on how to sell sort of right now. So let's welcome Stephen to the main stage. So give him a couple of minutes to teleport in. There we go.
Other fun fact, I chipped my tooth this morning. Can you see it? Not really, right?
Not really. That's not as fun
yes.
as the ones I mentioned. Did I get right? 756 days with the Hawaiian shirt?
778 days. Don't worry, I put it in a slide because it's one of the important tips where sure is some point the tips will include.
How many do you own? Is it the same one and you just constantly washing that?
I counted the other day. I'm at 35 now. I'm going left to right in the closet. And today I blew out a button for the first time, but I highly recommend making the conversion if you're a sweaty guy or if you're looking to shake the tech uniform.
You've obviously been benching too much, Stephen. So you got to pull it back. All right. Well, this is your time. You've got 10 minutes with the folks here, I just see your silhouette there. But you're hopefully coming back. But I'm going to leave it to you, Stephen, and I'll come back roughly a few seconds before the end, and we can start some questions as well.
Hey, can you see my screen? I believe my screen's actually showing. So I have no way to hop in of knowing if I'm sharing the screen, so hopefully this is working. Tell me in the chat if you can see the screen being shared here. All right. So, look, I am here to hopefully help you all. I feel like if you are me, people, companies, organizations have been talking at me since COVID hit. And winning in a time of crisis is critical. A lot of the decisions you're making, a lot of the marketing decisions you're making in particular, I imagine they're going to be the difference between a lot of companies having long-term viability and not. So today I promise to talk to you about why your marketing sounds super noisy and hopefully give you a prescription. Now, before I start, I appreciate the warm-up, Alex, but
you're probably all wondering who the hell is Jacco's warm-up. So as Alex pointed out, I've worn a Hawaiian shirt 778 days in a row. The other fun fact, I spoke at SaaStock Dublin, as Alex also called out, 962 days ago, and I haven't been invited back since. So I can absolutely tell you your expectations should be very low. But there is one reason you should listen to me. I wasn't a Navy SEAL. I was an Army Special Operations sniper, which means I'm adept at hiding in bushes. So if you give this content really bad review, I may or may not be able to find you. All right, let's talk about why your marketing sounds so noisy right now. So once upon a time, I'm going to tell you a story. Long before COVID, life was easy. Everyone loved our stuff. Sales was cake. but actually not, right? The world in which we lived pre-COVID was not an easy one to thrive and survive in. You know, innovation has picked up its pace, and there's this perception amongst you and amongst your competitors of real feature function parity. Marketing saturation was sort of at an all-time high in channels, and pay to click was extremely expensive. And as I'm demonstrating why right now as I speak, the trust in sales was at an all-time low. I actually read a stat from Gallup that said people trust salespeople less than they trust politicians. I'm American. That's terrifying. Let's move on. So look, pre-COVID, marketing wasn't working. And then COVID hit and marketers sort of shit the bed. So what do? Well, the first response and the most logical response that most marketers tried to do was throw a ton of content at people and spin up the old content engine, get posts on LinkedIn, host yet another webinar, as Alex pointed out, which are absolutely insufferable, and tweet like hell and hope that we can stand out competition. But the content engine is you're spitting content into a room full of content, and it's been incredibly difficult for marketers to let their signal stand out amongst the noise. So what is the solution?
Stephen, I'm just a minute because we can't see your video. So are you able to? I don't know if you stopped sharing your video, but we can't see you and your.
There we go. Luckily, you're.
There we go.
Sorry,
I'm gonna leave now. I'm gonna leave.
All right. Well, we're decreasing the quality of the content now that you got my face showing. But look, it's been really hard to separate the signal from the noise. And you know, before we talk about the solution, I first want to implore you, please stop with the walk around videos on LinkedIn. I'm sure you have something great to say, but what marketers can do right now is narrowly focus on where they are domain experts. You know, Jacco and I had this discussion. I'd hate to see another walk around video talking about broadcast amazing content, then I might actually be willing to listen. So what is your narrow domain expertise? Focus on content quality, not volume. The other piece here is people aren't craving content right now. They're craving connection. I don't know about you, but I've been cooped up in a room with the same person for 40 days now. I probably counted that wrong. But I am absolutely hug someone. Now, granted, I'm adhering to all social distancing best practices and I'm wearing a mask, so I promise I'm not going to do it. But you can create connection for prospects and for your customers. So instead of this, putting together another webinar where it's more of us talking at you with Joe Schmo, your head of sales, and plain Jane, some marketer from your company talking at people, create a connection, facilitate a conversation, scale that into a community. I want to give an example of someone who's done this really well. Matt Amundsen at Everstring, the CMO of Everstring, has been hosting a drink with, which I think has really proven that the medium doesn't matter. This is just a regular Zoom call with some amazing members of his network, and he's facilitated a connection between him and that person. And around that, he's coalesced a conversation around marketing, around the midst of all of this. And that has really built into a community unto itself. So these calls were originally just the two of them connecting, sort of became a conversation between them and the broader audience. And now there's this community around people who are meeting to share a drink on a Wednesday at 3 p.m. And, you know, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So these webinars, what do you do with them? You know, I think SaaStock has done a great job of really looking to break the chain of yet another webinar, and the tactical change that you can make. Like, imagine if you take this webinar content and instead of focusing on doing a one-to-many webinar. Joe Schmo and Plain Jane at your company actually focus on enabling a core audience who are champions, ambassadors, or maybe even solutions consultants at your company, and really like trains them on the content or equips them with the content and says, hey, spin your own flavor. And when you do that, you can have them actually stand up this individual community franchise. Like SaaStock Local is a great example of this. They took this content engine and instead narrowly focused it on a small, like topical focus, and then equipped the community to really create content for itself. And there's been a virtuous cycle that's built. So that's how you take a connection, you turn it into a conversation, and really go to a community and a franchise. And the truth is, winning in today's environment is not about endless content creation. It's about this focus instead on customer enablement. It's not about talking at your customers. It's about facilitating a conversation. It's not about hosting another webinar. It's about creating a community. And there's a reason that there's this idea now in this movement that community is the new moat. You know, SaaStock's, like I said, a great example, but 80% of founders are saying that community is important to their business. And for a company like Salesforce, where you have the Trailblazer community, where people are now building their careers around your brand, it's a defensible asset. It's in this world of feature function parity, in this world of saturated marketing, in this world of work from home blogs, like community and connection is literally a competitive differentiator. Like, what other marketing channel is your CEO going to get on outside of like delivering mass to people and talk about? And you see it at Salesforce, you see it at Slack, and you see one or two or three members of a headquarters team enabling a broader group and driving attendance, and it really sort of harnesses network effects, and it's powerful. So what I'm imploring you to do is turn your conversations and your connections into a community and coalesce an activated and excited base around that brand, because that's the most powerful marketing, customer to customer marketing. So I'll end on this slide, and if there's any questions, I'll sit and chat. 9 minutes, 55 seconds, boom.
That is fantastic timing, Steve. Thanks for that. Just to clarify, we did invite you back to North America, but we had to cancel that event. So we have to bring you back to another one in the future. But please don't be upset. It's happening. Yeah,
it's Josh and you. I apologize.
I know. Good stuff. But look, a couple of things. Certainly, you know, community is the new mode. It's something we truly believe in. You know, I guess obviously you guys do. You know, clearly at Bevy, I remember kind of perhaps hearing those words for the first time from like Des Traynor back in like 2018, and yeah, certainly like sticking with us and seeing what we've been doing and building community for a long time. And, you know, hopefully everybody else, you know, is really kind of thinking about this as well, especially in these times. Are you sticking around to answer like a few questions, Stephen, or will you be in the networking? I just don't know how you're doing for time.
I'll be around.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, good stuff. So Stephen will be around, and in that instance, then we'll just look to welcome on the next guest, who is Farlan Dowell. Farlan, welcome. How's it going?
Howdy. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly well. Where are you dialing in from?
I am in San Francisco, just south of, in a lovely little town called Pacifica.
Awesome, good stuff. Well, look, I managed to get a few fun facts about Stephen just before he jumped into his talk. Actually, I don't know any fun facts about you. So, have you got? Maybe you can introduce yourself to the audience and throw in a fun fact or two.
Sure. I'm really lucky to work with a whole bunch of SaaS companies here in San Francisco. I'm mainly focused mostly focused on B2B SaaS, early stage, from 0 to 10 million. That's what I do. So very, very narrow focus. I know the lane that I drive in. What's a fun fact? I have 3 passports.
Okay.
I haven't chipped any teeth today yet.
Which passports do you have?
We've got an English passport, we've got a Canadian and an American.
Okay, all right.
There you go.
Well, with that fun fact, I'll leave you to what will you be talking about today?
So I want to just put everything in perspective and just talk high level about kind of staying calm, but also just a few tactical examples of things I'm seeing on the front lines with companies that I work with and work for. So yeah, we can get into it.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'll leave the floor to you, and I'll see you in 10 minutes.
Cheers. Hi, everyone. Everyone's good. Everyone can hear me. Everyone can see me. Cool. Great. Wonderful to be with you this morning. So I want to just say off the top, there's a lot of advice. There's a lot of folks that have hot takes on what's happening and what you should do. And I want to just dissuade you from any knee-jerk reactions. And if you feel compelled to do something, take a moment, breathe, and do nothing. I think sometimes the most productive thing that you can do is nothing. Stay calm. And 2 things. Understand what's happening in the market, which is changing quickly, but also introspect on your business and who you are and what you do. So overall, that's my message. Stay calm. Now, there are things that you can do. So for example, one of the SaaS companies that I work with, they didn't change their business model. We've been selling, we've been closing deals, not as many as pre-COVID, but April was just a month when everybody was level setting and trying to figure out what was going on. So I wouldn't extrapolate too much from that. We stepped back and we said, well, we have an opportunity and we have some cash to actually capacity plan. And so what does that mean? Hiring great folks. And so we've actually been able to staff up with amazing talent that is going to give us returns tenfold when this thing opens up, which it will, and it's already starting to. So that's the first example I would say. Another company that I work with, they hunkered down on product. So they're still closing some deals, but they said, well, should we pivot here? Should we try this? Should we do a free trial here? And they said, no, let's build these 2 product things that we know are going to be super valuable once this thing starts to open up. One of the other companies that I work with, they're in the supply chain business. And so they had a great opportunity where supply chains were really under stress to actually give their product away free until the end of the year. And that's worked out great for them. But these companies aren't making changes every day based on advice they're getting and based on what they're hearing. What we're trying to do is synthesize what's happening in the market. Again, stay calm, introspect on your business and what's actually reasonable and what you could do, and then really systematically put it in place. And so that's not just for co-founders that I work with. Everybody from sales managers to individual contributors are running a business of some sort or running their business of some sort. So think about it in that framework. And again, the hardest thing to do sometimes is do nothing, but actually in the end, it's the most productive. Second thing that I want to bring up, I think right now, tactically speaking, it's really important to have empathy for the buyer. But what that translates into for me is discovery and really going deep and understanding what's happening from a company perspective. By the way, if you guys have questions, feel free. So really going deep and not trying to push what you're selling, but trying to understand what the situation is on their side. I'll give you an example. One of the companies we were talking to, their budgets were frozen. And I'm sure you guys on the sales front are coming up against this all the time. there's an opportunity to get creative. So perhaps you do a 2-year deal where payment is due at the end of year 1 for both years, right? There are ways to get creative to get a deal done. It turns out though that this buyer didn't even have, they locked up all onboarding resources, so they couldn't even onboard the software. So again, it's staying close and really understanding what's happening there, because you may be pushing a deal that's just not realistic, and you might burn that relationship by pushing too hard. So keep that in mind. I would say discovery and really going in with empathy. And just a side note, everyone's talking about outbound and what should we be doing with outbound. I would try to keep outbound. Don't go in when you're cold emailing somebody and say, hey, hope you're staying safe. I know it's really hard out there for you, and then try to pitch something. That's going to come across as fake empathy. And I think people are just numbed to COVID-19 messaging in general. If you have a product and you have a solid value prop, give it to them. And it'll either fit or not. It'll either resonate or not. There aren't that many tricks. There's no tricks here. It's still, what's your value prop? And go back to that. I think when you get on the phone with somebody and you're meeting for the first time, sure, how you doing? How you holding up? That's fine. And that's a different type of interaction. But I think the COVID messaging has just gotten a little stale. Understand what markets you're in. This is the third point. So if you're selling to SMB, that's up for grabs. Maybe companies have cash, maybe companies have funding, maybe companies are building, like some of the companies that I'm working with. Maybe some of the companies are cash strapped and can't raise a round and need to right now. It's going to depend if you can sell into them or not. They're going to be buying. Mid-market's kind of what I'm seeing is a little bit paused. So mid-market's kind of, from what I'm seeing, is kind of waiting and seeing, whereas enterprise is still full steam ahead. And we've actually closed several enterprise deals. Now, you may say, as a founder, a sales leader, oh, shit, let's pivot to enterprise. But again, that's where I would go back to introspect on your business and understand what's happening. Because if you pivot right now, your company may potentially get whiplash, a big change. You might pivot out of it, knowing that after a month, figuring out deals aren't going to close for 6 to 9 months. And you're just going to cause a whole bunch of internal turmoil to, quote, do some initiative that makes you feel good. So again, introspect on what your goals are and if that's even realistic for you. I would say if you have deals that are closed lost, or you have deals in the pipe, you want to maybe talk to them and see where they're at. If you have enterprise deals versus mid-market deals, you may want to press on the gas pedal. With enterprise deals, there's more of an appetite to buy right now. I'll say in closing, we hear it in the news all the time. So never let a good crisis go to waste. And I think that's a good mind frame to have. I'm quite bullish. I don't think that this is going to be bearish for 2 years. I think we're going to come out of this. We're going to see things really open up. I went golfing yesterday. Okay. Golf courses are open in San Francisco. Scott Galloway, also known as Prof G, he says he's a serial entrepreneur. He's now a professor at NYT or NYU. He says that timing is everything in startups. Every business that he's started in a recession are the ones that have been successful. The ones that haven't are ones that he started in frothy times. And so think about that. Think about that from a micro perspective in terms of like, there's a lot of things that you can be doing right now to get stronger, faster, leaner in terms of hiring, in terms of getting office space, in terms of just ramping up capacity, in terms of product, in terms of value prop. What you want to do is you want to position yourself to come out of this running with speed. You don't want to come out of this having to transition a whole bunch of stuff that you put in place that was temporary, a whole bunch of experiments that didn't really pan out. Everyone's going to be exhausted. So good luck. Hit me up if you need more advice offline. I love this stuff, and hopefully some of this was helpful.
Hey, super helpful. Thanks for sharing that. So I think repeat there, stay calm, very important right now. panicking will probably not get you anywhere. Empathy seems to be a big thing, but I like that empathy with discovery as well. So certainly ourselves, and I think everybody else is looking at how we can adapt ourselves to be more empathetic. And I like the fact that you're bullish, as you say. This is not lasting forever. We're actually, hopefully seeing the light in some places, and I think it's important for companies to have their ambition, not to kind of shirk with their ambition, kind of during these moments, and not to pivot unnecessarily as well. So good stuff, Farlan. Can I sort of ask, are you going to be sticking around to answer any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be here. Yeah,
All
hit
right.
me up.
Cool. All right. So people can find Farlan in the chat, and potentially in the networking session, which is coming up after the content. So we've got thanks, Farlan, and we'll speak to you soon.
Cool. Be well.
Cool. Thank you. All right. So we have 20 minutes of content remaining. Two more talks. These will, I think, Farlan, we just need you to click leave if that's all right.
I'm leaving. Thank you. See you guys.
Yeah.
See y'all.
Thanks. But yeah, so 2 10-minute talks, and then we're onto the networking. Stick around for the networking. As you say, either you're going to be paired with somebody that perhaps will and hopefully will offer you some great advice in terms of what they're doing and seeing in sales right now, connecting you with people that you would perhaps never have normally connected with at an in-person event or otherwise, and just testing out the functionality. So we've been doing this networking, via this particular functionality and pairing with random folks that have a lot in common, and it's been quite cool and quite fun. Additionally, as I mentioned, those that get paired with me, hopefully you're very excited about that, but don't fake it. But you will get a free ticket to SaaStock as a bonus, SaaStock Remote, that is. So let's, without further ado, welcome on our next speaker. He's spoken at many SaaStock events in the past and should be a familiar face to all. So welcome, Steli Efti CEO Close.
Hey, Alex, how's it going?
Yeah, good to see you. Where are you dialing in from this time? You're a man about the world.
Yeah. I usually go back and forth between New York City and Germany, and I got stuck in Germany. So this is where I'm in Europe. Probably
a good place to be stuck in compared to New York City right now, I would say. We've been getting fun facts or interesting facts about our previous speakers, so I don't want to stop the trend here. What about you? What is a fun fact that perhaps our audience doesn't know about you?
A fun fact. I for like 3 years in my 20s. That freaks people out sufficiently when they get to know me if I drop that tidbit. So here you go.
Have you ever used that in a sales situation?
I'm sure I'm using some of it unconsciously all the time, but I've never tried to hypnotize somebody and make him, gawk like a chicken or something like that to close a deal. No, I'm not like using it practically, but I learned a lot through the practice of it that I'm sure stayed with me.
Okay, good stuff. Well, look, I'll leave you with the audience. The floor is yours. I'll be back in 10 minutes' time. Feel free to ask Steli any questions in the chat, sort of during. You can either pick them up after or during the talk, and we'll leave you with that and see you in 10.
Awesome, thank you so much. All right, so I've been talking to tons and tons of founders over the last couple of weeks, and kind of learned a few things that have been working during these times when it came to selling SaaS, and some things that haven't been working. So I'll share a tidbit on attitude, on process, on tactics. Things that I've seen work, things that we tried that worked with all of you. But I also want to let you know, I'm going to post this here in chat, steli@close.com. If you have any questions that I won't get to address during this little session, please reach out to me at any time. And there's a tool that we put together, Crisis Toolkit. It's especially a couple of resources and more details to the things that I'm going to share with you today. It's a couple of PDFs. If you want to have more material from me on how to sell during this crisis, just send Steli@close.com an email, crisis toolkit as a subject line. I'll know what you want. I'll send you a link. You'll get all the download information, and you'll get kind of more resources, more information from me to help you through this time. All right, so a couple of things. First, I wanted to share a quote that has been very useful to me personally in our company during this time, which is that it's not the strongest that survive, it's the most adaptable that do. I think that quote is especially true during times of dramatic change like we're going through right now. It's not about how big you are, it is how adaptable you are, how quickly you can adjust and adapt to new realities. So here's the deal. A couple of things that I wanted to share with you during this time. Oh, somebody asked about the crisis toolkit. It's a number of PDFs, ebooks on how to sell during the crisis, how to manage a sales team remotely, email templates that we found that were very successful during this time, and email templates that are bad examples. So a bunch of resources that you can download and consume whenever you need. All right, so first tip that I would give you is shorten your cycles. So this is not a time to set 3-month goals and to try to hit some quarterly quotas, because the pace of change is so fast. I would advise you and your sales teams and your company in general to shorten the cycle in which you are setting goals and making plans and launching new initiatives to 2-week sprints, and give yourself more flexibility to adjust and change your plans along the way. Because especially during times where news break out, all kinds of political changes are happening throughout the world, setting and making plans for 3 months could just be such a massive waste of time, because you set these kind of big project goals for 3 months, and the next week something dramatically shifts in your market, in your space, and you have to do the planning all over again. So shorten your cycle. The next thing I'll tell you is test your hypothesis more frequently or more actively. I think Stephen said this before. To me, customer intimacy wins, right? The more you understand your customer, that's always true, but especially during these times, the better you're going to be able to serve them, the faster you're going to be able to adapt to the change that you're seeing coming, because you understand the problems and the circumstances within your customers are living. So sometimes you're reaching out, you're talking to prospects and customers today, and they're telling you, nothing is working in our industry, everything is on hold. Cool, right? That's fine. But even within 1 week, that sentiment might change. And what we've seen is that some sales team have been too quickly to draw back from the market, withdraw from the market, and kind of wait till they get overwhelming evidence that maybe activity could be prosperous again, instead of consistently checking in and adjusting what is going on. The reverse is still also true. Sometimes you'll talk to your prospects, they'll tell you everything is perfect on Monday, and then 1 week later you talk to them and they tell you the world is ending. So you need to stay in touch with your customers, and you cannot take any kind of statement of snapshot of what the situation is as something that has lasting qualities to it. You need to realize that this is what the snapshot and how our market is operating in this week, but we need to be open to the idea that that might change next week or the week after. And you need to be able to adapt and adjust faster than your competitors. And one of the best ways to do that is just to be more in touch with your prospects and be more open-minded and a better listener to what they're telling you. The next thing I'll tell you is, some of the ideas that we have that are counterintuitive still work. So one example that I wanted to give is that when the crisis first made a big splash, we at Close, we had sat down and we decided to make some changes and adjustments when it came to our sales team. So we were pushing very hard, for long-term contracts with some of our biggest and best prospects. So customers would sign a 1 or 2, 3-year contract, but pay monthly with us. And we decided that during crisis, having these long-term contracts may not be as valuable to us, because if a business is really in trouble, they're just not going to hold their end to that contract, and we're not going to really chase them and sue them. So we moved away from focusing on contracts to focusing on prepays, because we realized cash is king. We want to improve our cash position during this crisis. So we're going to give people a very simple proposition. If you want to buy clothes today and prepay for a year or two, you're taking a bigger risk by prepaying, especially during these uncertain times. But on the flip side, we're going to give you an outstanding deal. We're going to give you a really, really great deal. If you want to wait till the world is more stable, till things are safer, that's fine as well. But then you're going to pay a more normal deal. You're not going to be able to get as good of a deal as you're going to get from us right now. And surprisingly, even to my surprise, an insane amount of our customers decide to prepay. And still till this day, the last 3 months, every single month, we set a record in terms of prepays. And our cash balance and our cash position is dramatically improved. And I didn't know this strategy would work. It was not obvious to me that this would work, but it worked for us. It might not work for everybody, but you have to give these things a try. What we see is a lot of sales teams, a lot of companies, they assume certain things won't work, so they don't even attempt them. And I would challenge you to test your assumptions and to try things that seem risky, even to do them with empathy and with humanity, but try them. Asking somebody for money is not an inhumane thing. It's not an immoral thing. This goes to one of my later points. Your attitude truly matters, especially during these times. So here's one thing that I see happen a lot. A lot of sales teams, a lot of companies, they're overly concerned not to appear selfish, not to appear, tone deaf. And they say, Steli, how can I call people? How can I email people? How can I try to sell or close a deal during times like this? Like, people are going to get upset with me. In my mind, that's just not true. Right? It is true that you can't be tone deaf, so you can't be calling or emailing or communicating to prospects and customers and pretending the world is perfect and being like this fake positive, fake optimistic salesperson. It's like, hello, another wonderful day in paradise. You surely want to talk about cost savings. Like, don't be that asshole, right? But on the flip side, a lot of people go overboard on the other side of the spectrum where they call or email and they're so overly apologetic and they're like, oh, I know everything is terrible and I feel sorry for reaching out, but I wanted to see maybe even during these terrible times. Like, don't do that. People already have enough negativity, enough fakeness in their life. Be positive, right? Be energetic, but also be real. Here's the deal. We all have enough conversations during our days right now that are anxiety inducing and that are stressful and that are negative and that are energy sucking. So be one of those exceptions in your emails, in your social interactions, in your calls where you're honest and true, but you're also energetic, because that's one thing that people need during these times. They want to interact with people that have energy and have some level of optimism. And so try to continue to sell, continue to communicate and serve your market and your customers, because at the end of the day, if you stop selling, it's going to be bad for you, for your family. It's going to be bad for the business you're in, and ultimately for the economy and for everybody else. So there's no real benefit if to under communicate and make a hole and kind of withdraw from economic activity during this time. Go out there and communicate, sell, and do the best that you can. I see that there's a little bit of, I think, back and forth on discounts. I want to kind of chime in on that before I think I wrap this up and I've hit my 10 minutes. Wouldn't giving a huge discount backfire later in the year once customers are up for a renewal? Don't sign a contract now and come back to you with the same expectation. No, not necessarily. Like, every contract, like, prices are going up in general, and prices are changing, and mature customers and prospects know that if they get a special deal because they prepay for 2 years during COVID, and then 2 years from now, the world is different, your product is different, your service is different, you don't have to give them the exact same price you gave them. And I'm not suggesting everybody should give a super aggressive discount right now, but if you are in a business position where somebody paying for 2 years in advance would be good to your business, maybe this is a time to give them a good deal to make that happen. All right. If you have any more questions, I'm always happy to hear from everybody. Steli@close.com. If you want more material, more information, more tool sets, just send me an email. I'll share anything and everything I can.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for that, Steli. Bang on the 10 minutes. I can cancel my timer so that doesn't go off. So some interesting sort of recaps there. Shorten your cycles, planning cycles, sales cycles. Something I'm hearing a lot of. Certainly we're adopting that. We've gone from 90-day planning, or even obviously planning for the 12 months, 90 days. Now it's 30 days with 2-week sprints. And as you say, the things it's ever changing. On that, actually, just on sprints, reading a good book called Scrum, The Art of Doing Twice the Work in Half the Time at the moment. So I'm sort of new to the world of sprints and Scrum and Agile methodologies. So for anybody that's sort of interested in that book and working in sprints, check that out. Cash is king. I mean, everybody should hopefully know that. The prepay is very interesting there. So that's pretty cool. So don't be an asshole, but don't be that arsehole. So I was looking for the F word, but we got the A word today. So appreciate that. Well, look, good stuff, Steli. You're going to stick around maybe for a few more questions with the audience. That's great. So thanks, Steli, once again, delivering great content. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. All right, I'm in the comments.
Cheers. Okay, so as we now wait or welcome our next guest, this is Jacco. For those that don't know you, Jacco, can you give a brief intro and a fun fact? And I've got my my dog trying to break down the door here, so showing how real the world of online events is. So maybe I'll leave that with you before we hear some barking, and I'll go on mute. All right.
That is great. And can you hear me? I just want to make sure that you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up. Oh my gosh, you can hear me. Yes, that's what I want. Now, let me start with the following. I love what I'm hearing. I love it, but we need to add a little bit of juice to that. And so I want you to get ready, because I am telling you, this is not a recession. Our whole idea about a recession is wrong. This is a transformation, not a recession. It's a transformation. We need to rethink this. We're coming out of our shells, finally. Do we really want to go back to where we were 5, 10, 15 years ago, to that way of selling? Do we really want to go to a primarily, call it white male, semi-balding, middle-aged guy, just like me, as the only way of selling, dominating 60, 70% of the sales force? Is that what we want? We needed this. We needed this. Let's be honest. Let's be truthful. This is what our industry needed. And now let's deal with what we can do with it. I'm sorry, I'm going to call it out. This is a new world. This is not about like, oh, we need to win more deals. Right now, your number one priority in sales is to get cash. Yes, I said it, get cash. You got, everything around is cash, cash, cash. Shorten up your terms, shorten up whatever you do, lower your price. Get cash in for those companies who are in trouble. If you got cash in the bank, then don't worry about it. Life is good. But I want to let you know, this is a new world. The next 30 days, we are in the cash show. Next 30, 60, 90 days. Cash, cash, cash. I think that is important. Second, I want to let you know what this new world is about. This new world is not about the usual. No, it isn't. So, no need to rock this out. Really no need. I'm letting you know. Here it comes. Outbound ain't gonna work. Yes, I said it. Outbound ain't gonna work. You think it will work? It won't. Folks, if our outbound was right, it would work, but it is wrong. Our outbound primarily is based on clickbait, getting your email address. Anytime I go to a website and there's an email filter in front of it, I'm done. I'm out. See you later. You don't want to educate me. You need my email. And I simply ask, what will you do with that email if I give it to you? What will you do? What is that email? What good is it going to do to you? Because I'm telling you, primarily what it's doing, you know what it's doing? It's going to go into your database so you can spam me. Why? Because once I give you my email address, the lowest common denominator can abuse it. The weakest link on your site in the chain is going to one day decide, you know what, we're going to spam Jacco. That is what we want to avoid. So that's what I'm saying. I want to be very careful. Outbound is all about content. And if your company cannot control world-class content, cannot create it, cannot curate it, does not know where to find it, then you're in for a world of hurt. That is, to me, what is the case. So number one, new world, cash is king. Number two, outbound won't work until you are able to invest in outbound, what it so desperately needs. Quality, quality, quality content. That's my way. Okay. Next way up. Ready. Third one coming. There's a new way of selling, and it ain't my Zoom session and stuff like that. I want you to understand that the new way of selling is meetingless. No meeting, sharing your documents, recording a video. Why? Because sitting on 1 hour Zoom sessions and 1 hour WebEx sessions and 1 hour, other sessions ain't gonna cut it. I mean, it's so cool right now. But simply what we're doing, we are replacing every part of the old enterprise sales process with a Zoom meeting. And I don't know about you folks, but I'm getting we all have these face lights, right? Man, my eyes are getting to burn all right. I'm getting a tan from the light in front of me. We need to stop these Zoom sessions. Meaningless selling is one of those. Now, I said stop. I don't mean we need to mix. We need to mix a little bit of both, but we need more of is meaningless selling. What is meaningless selling, you shall ask? I know. Meaningless selling is when I record a 5-minute video pitch and send it to you of what I think the demo for your product should be. The product that I'm selling should be for your company based on the research I've done. And I want that 5-minute video before I even jump on with my entire team asking to do a 1-hour demo of you, because my team is going to get fatigued with all these sessions too. So I'm going to say to any seller, why don't you look at my website, create a 5-minute video of me before you do it? If you can do that effort, then I am willing to listen to your discovery pitch. That is the new way of selling. Meetingless. I don't want a meeting yet. You need to lead with it. This can be used, for example, also in proposal sharing. What I want you to think is, why are we waiting for a proposal, then turn it into a PDF after creating it for 2 weeks and then throw it over via an email attachment? Ain't going to work. We believe in content sharing. That's the third point. Meaningless selling. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 more. Fourth one. Folks, if you don't like what you're seeing right now, this is me. I'm sorry. I just like to be myself. You know what? I think every day about sales. For those of you who know me, I sleep with it. I wake up with it. I solve problems. But I'm a personality. If you can't deal with the personality, get used to it. Every person that is an expert has a personality. What I'm trying to say is the new person is not a company. It's you. You are the personality of the company. Now, you don't have to be as loud and screaming and with noises that I am. I'm okay. I get that. Not everybody is like that. If you want to be, well-educated, well-read, that is also a personality. But be you. Be the person who you are, and don't be ashamed of it. Okay? I don't want to go on a stage. I know that some people go like too much energy, too much this, and then they go like, the dude knows his stuff. That's me too. You either like both, you like one, that's all fine, but be okay with who you are. Last one up. Folks, these sessions, I want you to understand something has changed. And for those of you who are going to go on these webinars and who are experiencing this, I want you to realize you are now using a TV-like medium to sell. No, the microphone didn't drop. I'm saying it again. You are using a TV-like medium to sell. Are you aware of that? Can you deal with that? Because if you think another webinar where I have to sit through 60 to 90 minutes of boring stuff only to get one tidbit of information, I can let you know what my kids at 17, 18 years old do. They skip over a video like it's no one's business. And I have no idea how they are able to do it, but they extract the 30 seconds of value out of a 90-minute video, and it takes them like 2-3 minutes. They skip. Oh, here it is. And they're on. That is the new stuff. You and I, all of us, live in a new world. Now, I want to let you know, post 2008, SMB got redefined. It became data-driven, specialized roles, process-driven. We had customer success was invented at that point in time. Everything happened post 2008 to SMB. I want you to know, if you think that this is just another thing and we sit back and relax and see what happens, you're going to be too late. You are not competing with COVID. You are not competing with the stock market. You're competing with your ability to transform to the new world versus your competitor. Because sooner or later, everybody's going to go back on an airplane. And those of you who think that sitting on an airplane is going to be cool, you're going to be sitting on a tarmac, and while you're sitting there, your competitor has already dropped the first video, scheduled the second demo call, and potentially has already drafted a first proposal. That's what's going to be. And then my final point, with a tip of the hat to Farlan. He taught me about this. Farlan has a lot more, has a lot of depth to it, and I want to make sure that we put that. You know how life sucked when I was a VP of sales being 200 days on the road? That sucked. That sucked, people. You know how many divorces we have in our industry? It sucks. This is good for us. It is good. The industry can use a little bit more remote. Okay, I'm sorry bringing it, but look around you. We have children too. Look around. Everywhere I go, I hear the same thing. I can see my children grow up. That is beautiful. We are sellers too. Last one point, and I'm going to make this as best as I can and as honest as I can. Folks, it is not about selling. We are not selling faster. Our thoughts that we're selling faster is not real. You know what's happening? The buyers are buying faster. They are buying faster. And as a result, we get to sell fast. Now, if we adopt our organization to do that, we get a better thing. Now, the next 30, 60, 90 days, we're in like a magnet storm with a compass trying to look at the direction. It ain't working. I'm sorry, it's going to be like way over, right? It's not going to work. Like, we're not going to see it. At next 30, 60, 90 days, prepare. And with that, I'm giving it back to my friend, Alex. Go for it.
Thanks, Jacco. Well, a great way to end the content part of this SaaStock session, and full of surprises as always. I don't know how you managed to do it. I guess I'm going to ask the first question: Where do we get your Spotify playlist from?
Okay, not Spotify. No. But what I would love to recommend is our YouTube channel, youtube.com/winning-by-design, where we spot. I think that's, video is a part where we're going. Hope that helps.
Absolutely. Great. So are you sticking around for a few questions, even try out the networking? See who
I'm here. Look, folks, all of this we're getting ready for the big event. Alex, when is the big event?
You're teeing me up here. SaaStock Remote is on June the 10th and 11th. It's obviously taking place online as the only place to be. We'll have some great content, 150 speakers, including Jacco. We've got the likes of David Heinemeier Hansen from Basecamp, Bill McItis, used to be CMO at Slack, Zendesk, and VP of Marketing at Salesforce. And 148 others. The theme of SaaStock Remote is all around how do we adapt, survive, and thrive right now. So we're not just going to focus on the adapting, the survival part, but we do want to get everybody kind of through this. And it's good to kind of hear from our speakers today about the bullishness of what's happening, about the transformations that are happening sort of right now, and what everybody sort of needs to do, and certainly from their advice. But look, let's move on. Well, you can find out more about SaaStock Remote if you go to SaaStock.com/remote. Obviously, thanks everybody for joining the content part. We will be, I think, dropping a survey in the chat, either in the chat or the reception part. But I'm looking forward to connecting with some folks now at networking. So let's move over to networking on the menu, and let's get networking.